Welcome. Today we're jumping into four really different chapters from the Bible: 1 Kings 8, Proverbs 27, Mark 16, and Acts 15. Now, on the surface, they look like they have nothing to do with each other. I mean, you've got a huge temple dedication, a book of wisdom, the resurrection story, and then a big church meeting. But you know what? I think there's a single, amazing story woven through all of them, a story that unfolds across the entire Bible. So let's dive in and find it.
So let's start with a really big question. One people have been asking forever. Where does God live? Is he in a building somewhere, a specific holy place? Well, our four readings today are going to take us on a pretty incredible journey to discover the answer. All right, our search kicks off way back in the Old Testament, in 1 Kings chapter 8. And we're walking into what has to be one of the most incredible construction projects in all of history, the building of a house for God himself.
I mean, just try to picture this scene. King Solomon has finished this absolutely breathtaking temple. He gets all of Israel together for the dedication. The Ark of the Covenant, the symbol of God's very presence, is carried into the most holy place. And then, bam, the glory of the Lord fills the temple like a thick, heavy cloud. You'd think the question is answered, right? God lives here, in this house. But then, right in the middle of this massive celebration, Solomon prays, and he asks this unbelievable question. He knows, even as he's dedicating this amazing building, that no place made by human hands could ever contain an infinite God. He's pointing out this huge divine puzzle right from the start. And if you listen to his prayer, you can see his vision goes way beyond just the temple walls. He asks God to hear the prayers of foreigners, people from faraway lands, and even his own people if they're in exile, miles and miles from this spot. He's already dropping hints that God's plan is so much bigger than just one building for one nation. Okay, so let's fast forward hundreds of years. That little hint Solomon dropped about a bigger plan, well, it's about to blow up. The question starts to shift from where God lives to, well, who gets to be in his family? And that leads us to a major showdown in the early church, which we read about in Acts chapter 15. So the big debate at the Jerusalem Council really boils down to this. You have one group, some of the believers, arguing that any non-Jewish converts, the Gentiles, have to follow all the old laws and customs to be saved. But then the Apostle Peter stands up and he basically says, hold on, God is doing something completely new here. Peter's words here are just so powerful. He calls all those old rules a yoke, this heavy burden that, let's be honest, they couldn't even carry successfully themselves. And guess what? The council agrees. They decide salvation isn't about following a checklist of rules. It's a free gift of grace for everyone, Jew and Gentile, through faith in Jesus. The family of God is now officially an open invitation community. So you have to ask, right? How did this huge shift happen? How do we go from God's presence in one temple for one nation to God's grace for all nations? Well, the answer is in the single most important event in history, and we find it in Mark chapter 16. Let's just put ourselves in the story for a second. It's early Sunday morning. Jesus' followers are absolutely shattered. Mary Magdalene and the other women, they're just going to the tomb to anoint his body, but when they get there, the massive stone is already rolled away. And this is the announcement that changes absolutely everything. An angel tells them that Jesus of Nazareth, the one they crucified, isn't dead. He's alive. And this isn't just another miracle. No, this is the turning point for the entire story of God and humanity. And right here is the answer to Solomon's puzzle from all those centuries ago. The resurrection shows us that Jesus himself is the true temple. He is the ultimate meeting place between God and us. God's presence isn't stuck in a building of stone and gold anymore. It's now fully and perfectly alive in the person of the risen Christ. So what's the very first thing Jesus commands after his resurrection? He says, go, not to a building, to the entire world. Preach this good news to everyone. This is it. This is the fulfillment of Solomon's prayer for the foreigners. And it's the whole reason for the decision in Acts 15. The invitation is for everyone, because the new temple, Jesus, is for everyone. Okay, so if Jesus is the temple, and we, his followers, are kind of like his body on earth, well, how are we supposed to live with each other? What does that look like? For that, we turn to the incredible, timeless wisdom of Proverbs chapter 27. This verse, and you've probably heard it before, It gives us the perfect picture. If we're the community where God now lives, then our relationships are supposed to be constructive. They're meant for sharpening, refining, and building each other up. The point is, we were never meant to do this alone.
And Proverbs 27 gives us the practical tools for how to do this. It says real, authentic friendship is way better than just shallow flattery. That honest criticism from a friend who loves you, that's a gift. It pushes us to be real and open with each other because that's how we actually grow. This is the relational glue that holds together the new community, this living temple that we see being built in Acts. So let's pull all these threads together now. We've been on quite a journey, haven't we? All the way from a spectacular building in Jerusalem to a really tense church meeting. And it was all powered by an empty tomb in a garden. So here's the core message woven through all four readings. First, God's home isn't a building anymore. It's a person, Jesus Christ. Second, because of Jesus, God's family isn't some exclusive club. It's open to absolutely everyone by grace. And finally, this new community of people is called to live together wisely and authentically, sharpening one another as we walk this journey of faith.
And all of that leaves us with one last, really crucial question. The story that started with Solomon wondering if God could even live on earth ends with the mind-blowing reality that he does, through his people, through us. So the question for us is no longer, where does God live? The question is, how will I be his presence in the world today?